the sixth reason why nurses are leaving nursing is much more current over the last 3 years or so. And what I'm going to say might piss people off. And if you find yourself getting triggered by this or reacting to this, just go inward and ask yourself why, or go back and watch the last, go look at points 1 through 5 about why nurses are quitting nursing, and see if maybe you're fitting into one of those categories right now because you're unhappy in your profession. The reality is that mandates for a nurse's bodily autonomy and, for the way we practice aren't serving anyone. And the reality is that nurses are leaving the profession because of some of these mandates. I mean, we've got so many different shots that we're supposed to get, which aren't scientifically proven to change disease, to stop disease. And I wrote a whole chapter about the influenza vaccine that was published in a book called Naturally Inspired back in 2019. If you have questions about the influenza vaccine, go back and read that chapter. It's all there. It's all scientific. We know now with the COVID vaccine that it wasn't designed, it doesn't do what it was designed to do. And I know that hurts a lot of people to hear that. But you know what? Do you know how many nurses I have telling me behind closed doors how much they regret not listening to their intuition and how much they regret getting that vaccine to save their job? That's not something that anybody should have to face. Or the mask mandates, right? Fauci said in Congress, well, it wasn't based on any data. And yet nurses had to suffer and reuse and recycle masks day in, day out. What does that do to your job satisfaction, to your personal satisfaction, to your mask knee that you got, that we all got? And we're seeing it, now even. I've seen it as I'm recording this. There are a lot of counties in populated areas that are requiring nurses to wear masks again. But why? We have to ask ourselves why we're doing this. What fear of our own is overriding someone's bodily autonomy? And I also want to talk for a minute about nurse practitioners. I love nurse practitioners. Nurse practitioners are awesome. Why? Because they're nurses. They were trained as nurses. They were trained to listen and empathize and think critically and figure these things out. I would much rather choose a nurse practitioner to be my primary care. This is no shade on physicians. It's just my preference because they get to spend more time with me. But the reality is only 21 states in the US, plus the District of Columbia, allow nurse practitioners to be fully independent. That means those nurses can have their own practice and not have to report to a physician. Because guess what? There are nurse practitioners in California making $40, $50 an hour. That is not sustainable. They should be billing at the same rate as the physicians. They're just as good. We've got good ones and not so good ones in any field. But if we allowed nurse practitioners to be fully autonomous, it would completely change how we do healthcare. If we allow them, number one, be autonomous, and two, get paid the way they should be getting paid, it would completely change healthcare. We have to stop thinking that nurses are somehow less than. We are as much as, if not more so. If you're someone who is struggling with the long-term impacts of chemicals that you've had to inject into your body, or you are feeling tired and scared and unheard and silenced because of all these things happening, and you want to use your voice in a constructive and empowering way, go to my website, divinelyjennifer.com. Sign up for my mailing list. We are going to have each other's backs. You're going to stand in your power This is never going to happen again. Not when we stand together.